Hey there, Cyber family. I'm Chuck Taylor, co-founder and chief go-getter here at CyberHoot. Welcome to this week's episode of Shoot the Hoot Raw, phishing tests that teach and the tests that tattle. Okay, strap in for today's flight plan. We're ranting about phishing done right, checking in on our well-rested code base, and answering your burning questions, and ending with a cautionary tale so good it clips. All right, today's hot topic. We are talking about those phishing tests that teach versus the tests that tattle. So we'll see what experts are saying about traditional phish training, aka attack phish, as we call it here at CyberHoot. So traditional phish testing is that we send the email to the inbox. We try to trick the end user, the employee, into clicking on it. When they click on it, we say, "Hey, we got you. It's a phishing test. We're gonna let HR know about it. You don't have to watch the training. Don't do it too many times because in some banks, for example, 3 strikes and you're out." Right? So we're talking about that. We're going to refer to that as attack phish. We've all heard of decision fatigue, right? Well, fear fatigue is real too. We'll talk about that. Lastly, we'll see how positive reinforcement of HootPhish trains at the click, not after the, oh, cringe. All right, let's talk about traps don't teach. Research shows that these tests do not effectively prevent people from being fooled. So Google put out a security blog. It was called, let's see here, it was called On Fire Drills and Phishing Tests. It came out in May of 2024. And the research showed that traditional phish testing is actually counterproductive. Now, there was another study over an 8-month period in 2023 by teams from the University of Chicago and the University of California, San Diego, UCSD. They studied the effects of phishing training on approximately 20,000 personnel at the UCSD health centers. And came out of that, Ariana Mirion, I was having a hard time saying that name, Ariana Mirion said, the big finding is that these standard out-of-the-box industry trainings are not efficacious in preventing users from clicking on emails in the future. So it turns out that efficacious means effective. Yes, I looked it up just to make sure. So that's what she's saying here. Traditional phish testing just doesn't work, right? So the Google study also reported that during phishing tests, there were increased workloads on the disaster recovery teams. When phishing tests hit, so do the help desk tickets. Detection and response teams end up chasing false alarms instead of dealing with real threats. It's sort of like setting off a fire drill every month and then wondering why your firefighters are so exhausted. Now, notification systems have been added to Autopod's attack phish because it was causing so much work. This attack phish, this traditional phish testing, causes so much work that one of our customers requested that we add a notification system to our attack phish system just so their help desk was ready for when training starts. So I couldn't believe this when I heard it. I was on a call. We had just done rewriting our attack phish system because even though we believe in a more positive reinforcement approach, we being CyberHoot, we did rewrite our attack phish system so that we could deliver when people were requiring that. So on a call with this gentleman, he said that we were telling him how we just rewrote our attack phish system and we're going to be sending out a unique email per user. And he kind of got concerned. Said, "Oh, you can't do that in my deployment." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He said, "I don't want a different email to every user." And I'm thinking to myself, "Why don't you have a different email to every user? If you don't, then the user just tell the other user about it." He goes, "No, I need the same email going to every user." He goes, "Also, I need to be able to put together this notification system so that we can send an email to our help desk X number of days before, let them know, hey, there's an attack phish coming out, right? Be ready for it." That's why they get so many calls to their help desk for people that are reporting an issue, right? So we ended up putting in our system, you see here some settings here, same email for all users, notify the 7 days in advance. We have it, I think we go between 1 and 7 days, and then who can actually notify to include additional recipients. So you can see this is a pretty important thing. So it definitely takes up a lot of time, and the disaster recovery teams are taking, and your IT team's taking the brunt of that. All right, hopping over to slide 8. traps don't teach. There's an inaccurate perception of the actual risks that are involved. So what happens is some phishing tests require the bypassing existing anti-phishing defenses. And when these are left in place, real attackers may be able to leverage them. Rumor has it that Microsoft removed their direct injection because it bypassed security layers like SPF, DTIM, DMARC, and Defender. It made it ripe for abuse by malicious actors. The takeaway here is don't get caught with your pants down for a phishing test. Fear fatigue is real. Employees shut down instead of staying alert. Oh, let's see here. So you've heard of decision fatigue, right? This is where you're so tired of making decisions that you're more likely to make a bad one as the day goes on. You get more tired, right? So that's why these stores, we go out, they put all of those goodies up by the cash register. They figure out how to make, you're out there, you're in their store, you're shopping, you're making all these buying decisions as you go along. You're getting tired and tired and tired. And then we go up to cash out the cash register. They put these easy to grab items there. Why? Because your decision fatigue is worn out. And guess what happens? You buy, ka-ching, they're winning, right? Well, fear fatigue is real too, right? If you become fearful too much, you start to become non-responsive to it. Employees are so used to being scared and blamed that they shut down instead of staying alert. According to Proofpoint, only 16% of users report phishing emails after failing a simulated test. So once their employees have failed a simulated test, only a small fraction, 16% of them, will actually report another one, report a phishing email. Now, employees subject to gotcha phishing tests are twice as likely, I repeat, twice as likely to ignore future training. It baffles my mind. Fear backfires. 80% of your employees disengage when training feels like punishment. 80%. That's 4 out of 5 people. I don't know about you guys, but that makes my nether regions kind of tighten a bit. Ooh, that's bad, right? So I guess if you only want 20% of your employees to actually get anything beneficial out of training, I guess you have the same motto as Average Joe's Gym, aim low, right? So we got to do better than this. We've got to do better than this. So what Cybergroup did is we came out with HootPhish. It's our patent-pending technology that's designed to teach in the moment. It provides real-time pop-ups to users why an email was suspicious while it's fresh. So they learn as they go along with these pop-ups and some help, right? So we don't just show them a video. We walk users through real emails, red flags and all. So they learn by doing, not, they learn by doing in that actual moment, not just by watching a video and hoping they figure it out. HootPhish, another one, the way we address this is, there's no shame, there's no game. Users don't get embarrassed. They actually get smarter, right? And employees can actually feel their brains getting bigger, or so I've heard. Oh, behavior over blame. We track trends over time and we celebrate improvement, not just the errors, all right? So with HootPhish, we don't play the blame game. We track real progress and high-five the wins. Forget the gotchas. We focus on growth, turning every click into a coaching moment, not a courtroom trial. Let's wrap this up. Stop punishing clicks and start training at the click. Progress beats perfection. Habit beats hope. And hey, if they improve, give them a high five. You don't win by scaring people. You win by training and celebrating them. Now let's move on to our nerd update. Boom. Wah, wah, wah. No update this week. Shocking, I know. Even our coach took the weekend off to grill, chill, and avoid firework-related outages. So we had a little bit of a break this weekend due to the Independence holiday, July 4th holiday weekend. More great stuff coming out to you next Tuesday, and we'll talk more about that next week. Now, on to our Q&A. And I love this little quote by Michael Scott. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm sort of a an Office fan. Michael was being interviewed about something, and he said this whole thing. He said, there will be no questions. And then he immediately said, are there any questions? I thought it was hilarious. So do you have any questions from you guys this week? Now, I can tell you, transparently speaking, we've found that more people are watching the video, the HootPhish Shoot the Hoot Raw. They're watching it after the show airs versus live. And that's okay too, but I'd love to have a few people come on and throw some questions my way. But until then, it's okay. I'll throw some questions out here. What's some common excuses people give after they click? This can be kind of funny, right? So let's go over a few. It looked legit. Yep, and so did the Trojan horse. But I was in a hurry. Nothing says rush job like infecting the entire network. It had my name on it. So does junk mail. Doesn't mean you wire the money. I thought IT sent it. Sure, IT loves sending sketchy PDFs at 2 a.m. in the morning. I didn't think before I clicked. Yep, we noticed. And well, I only hovered a little. Hovering doesn't make malware go away, Carl, right? So employees have endless excuses. I'm sure you've heard some good ones. Now for our next question. How do I set up HootPhish? And do I need to create my own phish test? Okay, so here at CyberHoot, we've made this super easy, super easy. Using our autopilot, it's very simple. Under customer, you go to settings and training. All you have to do is enable the checkbox there. Set a start date. I want my HootPhish training to start on June 20th, 2025. And then set the frequency here with our flex scheduling power up, which is free. You can set the frequency for once a month, every other month, or quarterly. Once you do that, we pull from our library of 150 plus HootPhish trainings, and we send them out to your users. When we send those out to your users, your employees, what happens is each employee will get that HootPhish for that month. But what will happen is each one of those indicators that are in the emails that we check and we teach them on, they're all random. So for one user, the first, the subject might be good, but for the other person, the subject might be bad. So we really mix everything up and randomize things. So even when you're retaking the test again, the same user, when they randomize and when they restart the training again, maybe they failed or they want to do it again, the actual indicators are mixed up in the same test. So it really gives them a good opportunity to learn. All right, now on to our hoot-worthy horror story. The little crabber boy. All right, so this is a good one. This is me and my story. No, that's not a picture of me. Didn't have digital cameras back then. You probably would have maybe found a Polaroid, but no. So this is me. So when I was 12, I worked on the water with my uncle and 11-year-old cousin, crabbing at the crack of dawn every day. One morning we were out in a brutal storm. Waves were slamming the boat, rain coming in sideways. Not the heavy, big rain, but that blanket of like constant small raindrops, mist, just constantly hitting you, and the waves were huge. My uncle was a tough guy, especially back then. He expected a lot from us. Sometimes his words hit harder than the waves of that storm were hitting. So between crab pots, my cousin and I were trying to steady the crab baskets so they wouldn't tip. I remember we would turn around and hold them in between the crab pots. He shouted at us, "Leave them alone, they won't fall," or something like that. So we did. We turned around, we left them alone. Moments later, we hit a huge wave. We dipped down in between the swells, and water poured over the bow of the boat. Baskets toppled over. Crabs went everywhere. He screamed at us, "What are you doing? Pick up the crabs and pay attention." Now, I don't remember every word he said, but I remember exactly how I felt. Scared, humiliated, but I just wanted to disappear. Maya Angelou said, "People will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did. They'll never forget how you made them feel." Now, that was 40 years ago. I don't remember all the details or the exact words that were said, but I remember how I felt. And I'm sure you can remember a time where you were in a similar situation with a family member, a manager, or a boss. So let me ask you, when your employees fail a phishing test, how do they feel? Are they scared? Are they humiliated? Are they ready to quit? Now, imagine a different approach, one where they're coached, not caught, where they're lifted up, not torn down. Mistakes become lessons, not landmines. That's the kind of training people remember and respect. That's HootPhish. You can learn more about HootPhish over at cyberhoot.com/products/HootPhish. And that's a wrap on clicking, shaming, and fish flaming. Let's train smarter, not scarier. Next week, we dive into another cyber truth bomb, served fresh and slightly unfiltered. Same time, same Hoot channel. Don't bring shame, bring snacks. Hoot on. Hoot on!